Howdy, folks. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025 and welcome to the first Salt Mine Discord Q&A for the year. Thank you to everybody who turned up in person and posted their questions, which I haven't actually looked at yet. I'm going to be answering them all completely cold. There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about first, though, before I actually start looking at the questions. The first of which is today's sponsor, Incogni. You're probably aware that thousands of companies are collecting, aggregating, and trading your personal data without you knowing anything about it. They get this information from data brokers. Now, you have the right to request data brokers delete what information they have about you and protect your privacy. The bad news is you probably don't even know who these data brokers are, and even if you did, it would take you years to do it manually. Incogni does the messy work for you. It helps you protect your privacy, take your personal data off the market by reaching out to data brokers on your behalf, demanding that they delete any data that they hold on you, dealing with their objections, and ensuring that you get added to what's known as an exclusion list, so they can't just recollect your data and use it again. All you have to do to get started is head over to incogni.com/jingles and use code JINGLES to get an exclusive offer of 60% off. Create your Incogni account, tell them whose personal data you want removed, and just let Incogni take care of the rest. They'll keep you up to date with the monthly progress report, and they continue checking any data brokers that they have contacted to ensure that they remain in compliance. So that's incogni.com/jingles, use code JINGLES at checkout, and get 60% off your Incogni plan. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was Akazuki meowing in the background. I don't know if you can hear her. she's crying for treats. Okay, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but hey, if it comes through, whatever. Cats are going to be cats. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so obviously 2024 wasn't a fantastic year. What with cancer and diabetes and all that. May this year, I've got my colonoscopy to check that the cancer is gone for good. So fingers crossed for that. Over Christmas, obviously, I was supposed to be taking 2 weeks off. You know how that went. I think I lasted 2 days. But the good thing for me, at least about Christmas, when I take this 2-week break, is that I'm not tied to any particular schedule. I can just play and record video of whatever the hell I like, which basically meant lots and lots of Indiana Jones, and some surprise hits as well. Tankhead. That actually got 71,000 views, which was very surprising for a random game that isn't World of Tanks or World of Warships. Also, Astrometica has been doing really, really well. And, Sunday I also put up a video on a free demo of a game that's coming out this quarter in 2025, Deck of Haunts. Again, the kind of game that's completely out of my wheelhouse. But initially, at least, the video looks like it's doing pretty well too. So, I like doing these smaller games, other games, particularly indie games, because indie games is where they're really innovating these days. I mean, if you're looking for innovation in a AAA title, forget it. The other thing I wanted to quickly address was the home situation, because I've basically been on my, well, except for the cats, I've been on my own for the last 3 months, with Rita being away in Texas, although she is back this month. And generally speaking, Rita and I have a sort of division of labour in the house. Like, I cook, for example, and she cleans up afterwards. I take care of the cat litter, she does the laundry, all that sort of thing. But with her being away, I've had to do it all myself. I've been doing all the laundry, all the shopping, all the cooking, all the cleaning, taking care of the cat. I've been doing everything. I've basically been doing everything that, well, it's kind of given me a fresh perspective on the kind of things that women have normally been doing in the household for thousands of years. And it's really not that hard. I mean, I've been doing everything, pushing a video out nearly every day, and I've still had at least 5 or 6 hours every day to dedicate to gaming. I really don't understand what all the fuss is about. It's not that hard at all. So, at the risk of alienating probably 5% of my audience, sorry about that. About to get myself cancelled. Let's head over to the questions channel. And where is the questions channel? There it is. And let's crack straight on with your questions. The first one coming from Minortree93. So he says, Dear Overlord Jingles, Happy New Year. Yes, I am recording, and well, I really hope this mic isn't muted. Otherwise, the next 40 minutes or so are going to be, well, not a complete waste of time, but I'm going to have to, do an actual Mingles for Jingles. Oh, yeah. Probably should have said to everybody who's watching this as Monday's episode of Mingles for Jingles who couldn't make it to the Q&A. Welcome to the first Mingles with Jingles of 2025 as well. So his question is, due to curiosity, you pressed an unknown button because it looked shiny. And now you've been turned... I swear I didn't read these questions beforehand, but this is so appropriate. And now you've been turned into your female version for 1 full month. However, you still have to run the channel in the meantime. So how do you do it without anyone finding out while getting into different shenanigans during your 1 month adventure? I'd have to use some kind of AI voice changing software, wouldn't I? But I mean, that would still be a bit of a giveaway because I have a fairly distinctive voice. It's one of the reasons why people listen. Oh, that's a good question. How would I get away with it? Well, you know, I'd have time to come up with a solution, wouldn't I? Because doing all the housework really isn't that difficult. So I'd have plenty of time to come up with some way of faking it and blagging it and fooling everybody. I'm not sure everybody would fall for it, though. But yeah, good question. Also very appropriate given how I just started today's video. Anyway, next question from Basement Jesus. Dear Jingles, you are known, very well known actually, for your opinions to give to players of classes in World of Tanks and World of Warships videos. But if you were to put those players aside, what's your honest opinion of each class player? And by that I mean those who stay or main in a certain class. Also, please call Auroric 78 tryhard for me. Yeah, he is a bit of a sweaty tryhard. That's why we love him, because he's the best at what he does. For those of you who don't know who Auroric 78 is, he's an infamous light tanks player in World of Tanks, and he is just ridiculously good at it. I mean, obviously not every game that he plays is a legend, but the ones that are, he sends me, and you guys get to watch them here on YouTube. So, let's see. What's your honest opinion of each class player? I don't actually. I mean, I know everybody gives aircraft carrier players shit in World of Warships and artillery players shit in World of Tanks, but, you know, I mean, it's just a game class with its own play style like any other. I don't think anybody really, well, I suspect some people probably do have it in for aircraft carrier or artillery players, but you know, it's not the players, it's the game. You know, these are classes that exist in the games that we play, and any problems aren't the fault of the players playing them, they're the fault of the developers making any one class overpowered or annoying or just awful to play against. It's not the fault of the players. And I think a lot of people need to remember that, because I've seen countless aircraft carrier players that end up getting chat banned because they just play aircraft carriers, and people just report to see people on the team in a carrier, and that player gets reported, and they haven't even done anything. It's the start of the battle. So yeah, I mean, you know, people just need to remember it's not the fault of the players; it's the fault of the developers. So you know, give the players a break, because they're just playing the game the same as you. Next one, it comes from Catster. Morning to a glorious salt mine overlord on this frosty British morning. As it happens, I don't have a question, so I'll just wish that you and everyone else had a good Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, Catster. And of course, you know, hope everybody else had a good Christmas, and I hope you all have a safe and prosperous New Year. Like I said, I've got my colonoscopy follow-up to my cancer surgery coming up in May, so it's funny, you know, because I mean, people get stomach pain for all kinds of reasons. Maybe they just, you know, ate too much. But when you've had stomach cancer, everything, it's like, oh shit, what's that pain in my stomach? Oh my God, it's the cancer. Actually, no, it's just a fart. Yeah, you become hyper aware. Just this morning, I woke up and I had some mild stomach pains, and I was like, oh shit, here we go. Yesterday, I took a poop, and there was this spot of red in the stool, in the toilet bowl, and I thought, oh shit, I'm bleeding from my arse again. The cancer's back, and actually, no, it was just a bit of pepper skin. But you just become hyper aware of anything potentially that could, you know, be the recurrence of the big C thing coming back. But I mean, you know, people were having stomach pains long before they were getting cancer. It could be anything, and it usually is just anything. So you just need to trust the doctors. Obviously, you know, if I do see any actual hints or signs that the cancer has come back, I'm going to get in touch with them. But most of the time, you're panicking over nothing. The doctors know what they're doing. And yeah, 5 months from now, I'll be having my checkup, and fingers crossed, it will be all clear. And if it isn't, I'll just have to undergo surgery again, which wasn't pleasant, but damn sight better than the alternative. Anyway, thank you for the question, which wasn't actually a question, but thank you anyway. Next one comes from Tank 50 US. It says, greetings Jingles. First, no, oh yeah, Tank 50 US is the guy who's restoring an M1 Garand. He has no M1 update this month. Got to wait for the funds to be available to get it at the gunsmith. Oh, good luck with that. Second, he developed a livery for the Salt Mines Air Force for Digital Combat Simulator World and would like your permission to redirect some of the lower production mines to paint it onto these Tigers, Phantoms and Skyhawks. You managed to acquire the mighty Air Force. Once applied, I'd like your authorization to place volunteers on 24/7 alert. Maintainers will be out 6 days out of the mines. Oh, I don't know about that. But 136-hour shift in the mines to make up for it. Okay, that's fair. He's also provided a link to the livery. I'll remember to put this in the video description. There's no guarantee that I will remember, but I will try to remember. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Go for it. Permission granted. Use whatever you want. He also has here some rules. Pilots will be responsible for their own ordnance. Failure to bring the plane back will add another year to their contract. Wow. And he'd make this guy a salt mine supervisor. He gets it. And there's a screenshot here of the livery on what looks like... what's the name of that thing? F5 Tiger? Yes, Northrop F5 Tiger. But yes, I must try to remember to stick the link to this free livery that he's creating for the Salt Mines Air Force in DCS World in the video description. So thank you for that, and good luck with the M1 update. Next question comes from Gus Stantoide. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but hello, Gus. He says, Happy New Year from Brazil. I've been there a couple of times, actually. My question is, where did your "that's a paddling" expression come from? You know, I'm not 100% sure that I actually came up with that, but it comes from The Simpsons. Can't remember the name of the character, but he's one of the old fellas, one of Grandpa Simpson's friends. And any time somebody needed to be punished, he would say, "That's a paddling," and he would have a wooden paddle that he'd smack their asses with. And I think it might have actually been one of you guys that first used it, and I just thought it was funny, so I basically shamelessly ripped it off, and it's kind of become associated with me ever since, even though I'm pretty sure I'm not the one that actually came up with it. There's been other things like that. Oh, I remember Circumflexes came up with... I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know there's an expression that I use in World of Tanks that wasn't actually me, it was Circumflexes. And other things in World of Tanks, like the SU-100Y, the Soviet Tier 6 tank destroyer, box tank. That wasn't me. That was actually Quickie Baby. But, you know, I use it, and it's kind of... I'll tell you one thing that has actually become associated with me, and which I have seen on merchandise that I had no knowledge existed, was to do with KV-2. Cold Dead Hand of Stalin reaches up from the depths of hell and guides your shot to the target. I've seen that on T-shirts at various different conventions. So it's not the first time that something like that's happened, actually. Okay, Navy story for you. When my first ship, HMS Brazen, which I joined in 1990, first Gulf War, I was on it for about a year and a half. There's an expression in the Navy for people who have a lot of time off. They say more time off than the skipper's 8. Which will mean nothing to you unless you're familiar with Navy. So I'll explain it to you. The skipper, obviously the captain of the ship. And the 8s are your number 8 uniform, your daily working uniform. So blue trousers, blue shirt, DMS sole, boots, the standard stuff that most of the ship's company will wear every day when they turn up for work. But the captain never wears his number 8 uniform. I can count on the fingers of one hand the number of times I've ever seen the commanding officer of a ship in his number 8 uniform, the daily working rig. Most of the time, the captain is black shoes, black trousers, white shirt, black tie. Not quite dress uniform, but it's standard officer uniform. Senior 8s also wear this uniform, but most senior 8s every day, unless they're officially on duty as officer of the day or anything like that, will be wearing their number 8 uniform. So the expression for somebody in the Navy who has more time, there's a lot of time off and nothing to do, you say they have more time off than the skipper's 8s. And then I don't know why, but for some reason, when I was on board HMS Brazen, I came up with an alternative expression, which was more time off than Long John Silver's starboard steaming bat. So Long John Silver, if you don't know who he is a pirate character from Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island novel, who only had one leg, and so more time off than Long John Silver's starboard steaming bat, with the steaming bat being the DMS boots that you wear as part of your daily working rig. So he's only got one leg, and the leg on the starboard side is a stump, more time off than Long John Silver's starboard steaming bat. And I was very, very impressed with myself, and I thought it was great, and a number of other people on board the ship thought it was pretty funny and would start using it as well. Many, many years later, I'm now Portsmouth rather than Plymouth based because I'm serving on Type 42 destroyers rather than Type 22 frigates. And I hear somebody use that expression. And I hadn't come out with it, so they'd obviously heard it from somebody else who had heard it from somebody else who, if you trace it back far enough, had heard it from somebody on HMS Brazen in 1990 when I had come up with it. And I said, I came up with that expression and nobody believed a word I was saying, even though I was 100% responsible for introducing a new expression into the Royal Navy. I've had something like that happen before as well. I don't know if you remember, like back in the early days of the internet, there was this GIF, or I'm not getting into the fight over how it's pronounced, GIF, but you know, it's a graphics interchange file format. It's not a graphics interchange file format, so it's pronounced GIF. But anyway, of the thrusting stormtrooper. A stormtrooper looked like he was in a car park in the middle of the woods somewhere, doing the old groin thrust thing. Anybody remember that? That was a guy by the name of, was it John or Paul McGarry? I think it was one of the two McGarry brothers, who were the two founding members of the Wasps airsoft team. And that picture was taken by one of the team members, who went by the name of Silver Fox, at the Combat South airsoft site annual Christmas fancy dress airsoft game. And I think it was John turned up. We had no idea. He had this stormtrooper outfit, and he turned up with a stormtrooper outfit. And I would keep telling people, I know who that guy is. I was there when that picture was taken and turned into a GIF, and nobody would ever believe me. But if you search for it and you look at the picture, you'll see that on his arm, he's actually got the Wasps airsoft team badge on his shoulder pauldron, which is proof of where it was taken and who he was. So I was there. It's one of the most famous early GIFs on the internet, and I was there when it was taken because that was one of my friends and a member of my airsoft team. And I have really wandered off topic here. The original question was, where does your "that's a paddling" expression come from? Anyway, but there you go. And you lot don't mind when I divert and wander down memory lane here. It's the stories that, you know, they're just as good as and speaking of wandering off down memory lane, trust me, when you get this old, you start wandering down a sentence and you forget. This is what I was doing right there. Forgot what I was talking about by the time I reached the end of the sentence. But yes, anyway, there you go. Well, I should probably move on quickly before I make an even bigger fool of myself. So the next question comes from Marcus Fox. Yes, I'm sure I'm recording. I just quickly yes, it's definitely recording. I just double checked. Simple and Royal Navy related question. Do you ever spend New Year's while at sea? And was there anything eventful that occurred? Yeah, a couple of times. Generally speaking, the Navy will try to get you into a port somewhere. So even if you're deployed, you're away for 6 months in, you know, wherever. Christmas and New Year, they will try to get you in somewhere. Like my first New Year and Christmas in the Navy, first Gulf War. About 20 days before the first Gulf War actually kicked off, and we managed to get into Bahrain for Christmas and New Year, which was great. Not so great was being down Mare Harbour in the Falkland Islands for Christmas and New Year one year, because there's basically nothing to do down there. But a couple of times I have been at sea because somebody has to be. You know, the entire Navy can't be in port on a particular day in the year. And there's not a lot happens at New Year. I mean, everybody wishes everybody else a happy New Year, and that's basically it. It's not like you can go out and get drunk, because being drunk on board is a naval offence. Although, you know, certain people did it anyway. Just don't get caught. Christmas, though, there are a couple of traditions. When everybody goes for their Christmas lunch, the chefs all get relieved, and they get to, you know, eat with everybody else. And the officers serve everybody dinner. You get the XO and the captain coming around slicing the turkey up, and all of the officers serving you at the galley counter. And you don't normally get waiter service in the junior rates dining hall, but on Christmas Day you do, and the junior officers come around and they take your plates away, and you know, they make sure you've got salt, pepper, and condiments and butter and all that. So that's the sort of thing that will happen. In the army have it's a similar sort of thing, a different tradition. They call it gunfire. Don't know why, but that's what they call it. When on Christmas Day, the unit sergeant major and the unit commanding officer come around with some booze and wake everybody up. It's usually rum, sometimes it's whiskey. They wake everybody up. They literally come around to your accommodation and they give everybody a shot and wish everybody Merry Christmas. I'm sure the army do other things as well, but that's the only army tradition that I was privy to. That was down the Falklands when I was working in the Joint Communications Centre there, which was technically under army control. And so we had a unit sergeant major, and the Captain Parry, I think his name was, fantastic fella. He was the unit CO, and the two of them came around and woke us up with a shot of rum on Christmas morning. So that was a big surprise to me, but totally expected to the army corporal I was sharing a room with. So yeah. Spent the year at sea a couple of times. Nothing particularly eventful occurred, although Christmas Day, there are certain traditions associated with it. Next question comes from ComCom. Greetings, Gnome Overlord. I have but one question and comment. Do you still like Kirishima from Kantai Collection, or do you have another favourite? Yeah, I still kind of like Kirishima. Although I do like the Yamato. Beautiful character design. But I don't know, it was like, what was her name, Yukari in World of Tanks? Not World of Tanks, Skills and Panzer. She was my favourite because she was just such a nerd. And Kirishima's kind of the same, so she's still probably my favourite. On a side note, he very much enjoys my World of Warships videos, and they helped him to understand the game as well as appreciate the history behind the ships. Fantastic, good stuff. I'm glad they helped, glad you appreciate them. So from your local Japanese destroyer enjoyer, Cobb Soto. I've seen that name somewhere. I'm not sure whether or not he's appeared in a replay before, but I've definitely seen that name somewhere. Although possibly I just ran into him in a random battle. But anyway, I've just seen the name of the person asking the next question. I'm pretty sure this is your first question getting answered in the Q&A, because I would definitely remember that name. Scrotal Jinglenator says, howdy mighty Jingles, and welcome to 2025. Hopefully this year might be fairly decent at best. Yeah, you never know. Let's hope. On to the question. And you might already have answered this, but what games are you looking forward to in the future? And will you eventually play a Monhun game, despite being old and crap? Right, I don't know what that is, but I'm guessing it's Monster Hunter. Was there a new Monster Hunter game? I'm fairly sure there was a new Monster Hunter World game that came out quite recently, which reviewed quite well. I'm not sure why I never played it. I'm assuming that you are actually talking about Monster Hunter. Because I don't actually know what that is, but it looks like the abbreviation for it. And somebody is typing, and they're probably going to let me know that yes, it is in fact Monster Hunter. Yeah, I don't know why I never played it. I think, and again, I'm not 100% sure. But I saw video of the game, and for one reason or another, I just thought it looked too much like Horizon Zero Dawn. And I thought, well, I've already played Horizon Zero Dawn, and this just looks like a knockoff. And I realise as I'm saying that people are going to be typing outraged comments saying it's nothing like it. And honestly, I wouldn't really know, because it was a very superficial opinion, just based on watching one video of it. And also, I'm pretty sure it was a console exclusive at first, but then later came to PC. So by the time all the hype had died down, I've forgotten about it, which probably had something to do with wine. No, I've never played it, but I mean, I'm pretty sure they are available on PC now. If they're not, there's not a lot of point in telling me about them. Because, I mean, I've still got the PlayStation 4, but it hasn't even been connected in years. I used to just use it as a DVD and Blu-ray player, but I don't even use it for that anymore. There was actually another question here. What games am I looking forward to? Well, possibly Monster Hunter World, if enough people think, they can recommend it enough. Because at the moment, there's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is an amazing game, and they're probably going to have a couple of months to run because there's just so much in it. And then, of course, Astro Metica, which I think I only did 2 videos on it, but they've got more than 100,000 views between them. And it is a really good game. It is just a shameless Subnautica ripoff. But that's not a bad thing, because it's at least better than Subnautica Below Zero, even if not quite as good as the original Subnautica. But it's no worse than the original Subnautica, and I don't really care if it's not that original. It's still good. Unfortunately, I have actually gotten to the end of the current early access content that's available, but more will be on the way. And I really should probably put some more Subnautica, not Subnautica, see? It's not Subnautica, it's Astrometric videos up just to conclude the series as it currently stands. What else? I don't really... Well, I'm definitely not looking forward to Assassin's Creed Shadows, I can tell you that much. That comes out when? Next month? If Ubisoft still exists by then. Definitely not looking forward to that. Yeah, I don't really know what's coming out in 2025. I haven't really been keeping a pace of developments, or I've just been completely unimpressed with the news of what is coming out. They're doing a new Witcher game, aren't they? Is that coming out this year? Oh, that's actually probably one to look forward to. But other than that, no, I don't really have anything. Aside from stuff that I've already played that's in early access, or demo versions, like that Deck of Haunts thing that I did for Sunday's bonus video. Kind of game that I wouldn't normally give a second look at. But for some reason, there's something about it that just grabbed me. I'll tell you another thing. Vampire Survivors. Wow, that game is fiendishly addictive. And it's not something that I'm looking forward to because it's been out for ages. But again, it's the kind of game that if you showed me a screenshot of it, I just wouldn't be interested. If you showed me video of it, I just wouldn't be interested. But then, because it's really, really basic graphics and very, very simple gameplay. But I had a look at it on Steam, and it's got tens of thousands of reviews, and they're all positive, and it costs like £5. So I thought, screw it, I'll give it a go. And I played nothing else for a week. So, I mean, the kind of games that I probably am going to really enjoy playing in 2025 are the kind of games that don't get a lot of fanfare, and they don't get a lot of publicity because they're not coming from AAA developers with marketing budgets in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So they're going to be smaller games like that come out of nowhere and surprise everybody. So, yeah, I'm not really looking forward to anything. Like I said, there's a couple of things I'm not looking forward to. Assassin's Creed Shadows, for example, I'm probably going to skip that completely. But I'm just happy to be surprised about these smaller games that come out of nowhere and put the AAA studios to absolute shame. And long may that situation continue. Next question from Mongo. Dear Mighty Overlord Jingles, I hope you're doing well. I am, thank you. My question is, what are your thoughts on the Tank Museum's latest video on the TOG that came out 2 weeks ago? Yeah, so for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, and, well, you know, if you listen to this, you probably do. So they've just done a sort of revisionist video on the TOG 2, saying, actually, it's a really good tank. Tank hasn't changed. Still exactly the same tank that it was when they were saying it was a terrible tank. But now it's a really good tank, apparently, despite being exactly the same tank. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like clickbait to me. The thing is, I kind of agree because with the stuff they've been saying, because yes, it was. I mean, yeah, it was incredibly slow. Nothing was ever going to change that, but it did have a very powerful gun, and it did have really strong armor for its time. But that hasn't changed from when they were saying it was a terrible tank. It was an anachronism. It was a tank built to fight the First World War for the Second World War, and so on and so on. So I'm not really sure. I'm kind of split on how I feel about it because I kind of agree with what they're saying in the new video, but the tank hasn't changed. So, you know, what was up with your opinion the first time around when you're saying it was terrible? Where does that one come from? You know what I'm saying? It feels like they were doing it just for the sake of generating some views and doing some clickbait, even though I kind of agree with what they're saying. So, yeah, I'm kind of conflicted on that one. Next question. This one comes from the Steel Drummer. Good morning, oh mighty gnome overlord. First of all, Happy New Year to Rita, you and the cats, if they happen to care about it. Hopefully they didn't get too emotional. Oh yeah, actually. Yeah, New Year's Eve. Akazuki got really scared of all the fireworks. Poor thing. She was absolutely terrified. I was lying there in bed because I didn't stay up. I mean, technically I was still awake when the year rolled over, but I was in bed scrolling through videos on my phone. And at the stroke of midnight, all these fireworks went off because there's a football field not too far from where I live, and you know, big open ground, people doing fireworks displays. So it was kind of loud. And Akazuki didn't like it at all. The poor thing got really scared. Fortunately, it didn't last long, but she was okay. But where is the question? Oh yeah, first of all, yes, my audio's recording. Well, it better be. Let me just check again. Yeah, it's recording. Well, it's recording. I don't know if the audio's recording. So I'll find out after the Q&A. His question is, do you like the stargaze sometimes? And if you do you happen to have a favourite planet, star system, constellation, comet, or perhaps nebula? I wouldn't really call myself a stargazer. I certainly don't have a telescope. But I used to have this app that was really good. It would basically put the night sky on your phone. So it would use your camera. And when you panned around using the app, with your phone at the sky, it would put the constellations. It's kind of like a virtual reality or an augmented reality thing through your phone. kind of like Pokemon Go, for example, and it would put the locations of stuff on, so you'd be looking around and you could actually see the stars, and it wasn't too much light pollution, or the sky wasn't overcast or whatever, but you would be able to actually see what the stars were that you were looking at. And that was a really cool app. You could see the International Space Station. It would track its course, assuming it was overhead at the time. But while I haven't used that app in years, I do find myself outside at night looking up and just thinking, what the hell is that? Because there's a fair, I live in a city, so there's a fair amount of light pollution, so it's not ideal for stargazing, but there are certain things that are particularly bright, aside from the usual constellations like Orion and so on. Orion's an easy one to spot, especially in the Northern Hemisphere. But that there are certain very bright stars that, regardless of how much light pollution there is, you can always see. And I'm just wondering, is that maybe Jupiter? Because Jupiter's one of the few planets that you can actually see with a naked eye. And you can get pretty good results with, even a basic telescope, and actually see the cloud formations on Jupiter. So I'm thinking, I'm looking up at night, and they're always in the same position. There's like 2 or 3 of these things that doesn't matter how bad the viewing conditions are, you can always see them. And I find myself, is that maybe a satellite, or is that the International Space Station and not actually a star, or maybe it's a planet? I should probably do something, because I do spend a fair amount of time out at night looking up while I'm outside, either getting rid of the rubbish or whatever, just looking up. And maybe I should download and install that app again, just to find out exactly what it is that I've been looking at, thinking was maybe a star for all this time, and actually isn't. So yeah, thanks for the suggestion. Sounds like something worth doing. Next one comes from Ion Kesai. Greetings, Jingles. 2-parter from me. I missed this Q&A. I missed this a few Q&As ago. Been holding on to this for quite a while. But have you thought about becoming a virtual YouTuber, given your Warcraft known persona? And also, who would you support in the massive BattleTech galaxy? Oh yeah, I've seen that sort of, because I've seen videos where there's, it's been around for a while now, but the tech is there to basically now do it in real time, where you have a virtual persona on screen, given the commentary. And when this sort of thing first came out, getting an actual 3D model of the mighty Jingles, my known warlock from World of Warcraft, would have been a colossal ball ache, but there's probably apps that do it for you now. In fact, I've seen a couple of tech videos recently where there are, if they're apps or actual programs. Not sure if it's something that can be done on your phone, although if they're doing it on PC now, they'll be doing it on your phone within a year. The pace of technology is moving on so quickly, where you can take a 2D image, import it into the app, and it turns it into a 3D model for you and animates it for you. And you can almost certainly, with AI these days, get this stuff done in real time. So it's something that I might have to look into, although I'm not sure how people would. It's because it's going to take up screen real estate, and if you're doing something like a World of Warships video, where would you put it on screen that's not going to obscure information that people need to see? That's my only real concern. So it's something that's probably worth looking into, but you've got to think about the drawbacks as well. How does it add benefit to the video? How does it improve the video? Because if you're just doing it for vanity's sake, then it's not actually adding value to the video that people are watching, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. Oh, it's something to think about anyway. I did say you had another question. Where is it? Oh yes, who would you support in the massive BattleTech galaxy? House Steiner. Because for no other reason than, one, they're in a sphere. Screw the clans. And again, this is going back a bit. Back in the very, very early days of the internet, I joined this organization called the Emperor's Hammer, which was a gaming club, for want of a better word, originally based around the TIE Fighter Star Wars game from what at the time were Lucasfilm Games, but then became LucasArts, and I think they've become Lucasfilm Games again for nostalgia reasons, whatever. Where members of the club would be assigned to squadrons, which would have flight leaders and then squadron commanders. The squadrons would be assigned to star destroyers, which would be commanded by a commodore, and the squadrons would be run by a wing commander. The star destroyers would be formed in battle groups, which were commanded by a battle group commander. The whole idea was that people would write custom missions for TIE Fighter, and then play them and share them amongst each other. And this whole club was organised around that, and eventually expanded to cover all kinds of different Star Wars games. But the TIE Fighter core in the Emperor's Hammer was the where it all started. And I can't remember which MechWarrior game it was, but there was a MechWarrior game came out shortly afterwards that allowed multiplayer, and the club leader and founder organised a little sort of spin-off. It was nothing to do with the actual Star Wars side of the club or anything. Oh, hello, Akazu. Sorry, do you have something to say? Oh, I see. I don't believe you for a second. I usually wouldn't do that. I don't know if you guys can hear her. You probably can, because she's not quiet. But anyway. And cut a long, very, very long story short, we all, the few of us who actually joined the club owner in playing this MechWarrior game, we were all in House Steiner. So for that reason only, I would definitely go with House Steiner. Plus, they've all got cool German-sounding titles and so on and so on. So yeah, House Steiner, mostly because of, that's the first thing that I actually belonged to when I was playing the first multiplayer MechWarrior games, and also screw the clans. Inner forever. How are we doing for time? Oh, we're going to have to start knocking this on the head quite soon. But we'll get a couple more questions run through. This one's from Yamatog 2. Oh, yes. Have you heard about the massive scam that Honey has been conducting for years? In case you haven't, basically, through a shady practice, Honey was stealing the commission creators got through affiliate links, amongst others. This was recently dug up by the YouTube channel Mega Lag, and Legal Eagle is now filing a class action lawsuit against PayPal. Excuse me. There's a good chance this has also cost you yourself some money, Jingles. Yeah, I heard all about this. There's been a couple of videos out about it. Legal Eagle's one of these legal YouTubers that I do occasionally watch. He's pretty good. I haven't heard about Mega Lag. But yeah, but well, basically, like Yamatog 2 said, the idea was, and thousands of YouTubers, I never did, but Honey was basically a browser extension that when you were looking to buy something, it would scour the web looking for coupon codes to get you a deal or a discount on it. And apparently there was something a bit shady about that as well. That's not what this legal case is about, although it probably will be at some point. But what he's talking about is that YouTubers, and I hate this term, but it is what it is, influencers who were getting sponsorships from Honey with affiliate links. Honey was actually stealing a percentage, because there's no other word to explain what they were doing. It was theft. They were actually stealing a percentage, undisclosed. According to the terms of the sponsorship deal, the influencer would get 100% of any income generated through the affiliate links, and Honey was skimming stuff off that and basically scamming everybody who was using or who was promoting the Honey app. And yeah, so they've basically been caught, and they're getting the shit sued out of them. And I think that's hilarious, particularly since I'm not sure how will there be a good chance that it's cost me some money. Oh yeah, it might have cost me some money if I actually used the Honey app. I never used it. I never used the browser extension, so it probably never actually cost me anything. And I certainly never accepted any of their sponsorships. Not that I had anything against them, because they seemed all right, but they never offered me a sponsorship, so I never took one. But yeah, I did dodge a bullet on that one, definitely. A huge scam. It's been going on for years, and it's come back to bite them in the arse, and that's good. Next question here from Deathstalker627. I'm probably going to have to make this the last one. Actually, no, I can see the next question. We'll answer that one as well. But Deathstalker627 says, Dear Overlord Gnome, I have a question regarding World of Warships. Since Wargaming started to make ships from their arse and imagination, do you think Wargaming devs actually play a game called Ultimate Admiral Dreadnought, since it is a shipbuilding game that you can build absurd abominations of ships? I wouldn't think they actually drew any inspiration from it, but I'll bet some of them have played it. And it's probably given them, well, maybe you could say they've drawn some inspiration from it, because you've got to keep yourself aware of what the competition is doing in order to stay ahead of the competition. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if any of them have played it, because if you play World of Warships, there's a good chance you've probably also played Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, because the two games are, they're different, but they're both in the same wheelhouse. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the developers have drawn some inspiration from it, but I don't think it's actually influenced the design of any of the made-up stuff that they've put into the game, because developing a 3D model, have you noticed that a lot of the premium stuff that comes out are basically reskins or slight remodelings of stuff that already exists? That's because it's just more cost effective to do that. And some of the designs that you get in Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, they would cost a fortune and take ages for them to actually model to the standard of the stuff that's in World of Warships. Although when they bring out a new line of ships, like for example the South American, the Pan American battleships, the Iparanga, the Los Andes, and the Libertad, they don't look like any other ships in the game. It's possible that maybe some inspiration was drawn from Ultimate Admirals in the design of those ships, but they're certainly not ripping off any 3D models or anything like that. Oh, excuse me. I need to clear my throat. And the final question for today comes from Palm Top Tiger. Greetings, Jingles. If you come back clear of the big C, will we get to see some more airsoft content? Also, it is Jupiter and Venus, if you've been looking at the sky lately. Yes, I suspected they were probably planets. Venus because it's, one of the closest, and Jupiter because it's massive, and you can see it from the other end of the solar system. Also, it reflects a lot of light from the sun, as does Venus. Airsoft content. Unfortunately, my local airsoft site was forced to close down. Combat South, the Combat South shop still runs and operates, and I think they still do the urban stuff. But Combat South Woodland, because they didn't own the ground, they just rented it, and the owners of the ground have sold it off to a developer. And so now the forests are all being torn down, and it's being turned into a housing estate. And also, since I'm old and crap and do not have a driving license, getting to these airsoft sites is difficult because they're all in the arse end of nowhere, and because they have to be, because they're airsoft sites. And so actually getting to and from them is a massive pain in the arse and costs an absolute fortune. So, I mean, yeah, I hope I come back clear of the big C, but probably not going to be any more airsoft content. Because and the other factor is, while I do feel fitter and healthier than I did prior to the cancer surgery, I'm still going to be 55 this year. I'm too old to go running around in the woods shooting toy guns at people, even though it is a lot of fun. But yeah, no, probably not. Sorry about that. And on that bombshell, oh wow, it's Aurorix 78. Hello, Tom. How you doing? Oh, okay. We'll make this the last question. He says, will we be getting more of the Forever Winter with you and Flambas? I hope so. I do enjoy playing it with them, and there has been a major update that just introduced the Gunhead character, as well as a whole bunch of other things, and a new map which is massive, unlike the Underground Cemetery map, which was basically 6 rooms and a staircase. This new map is massive and very, very scary. So yeah, hopefully we will get to see some of that. So thanks for that. The final question. Thanks to everybody who turned up in person to submit their questions. I hope you found the answers entertaining. Apologies to those who didn't get their questions answered, but well, there's only so much time in the day. And if you're watching this as Monday's episode of Mingles with Jingles, take care. And as always, no, that's not how it goes, is it? My God, I'm so bad at this. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.